Welcome, everyone. This is a very special recording of our usual cup of tea event. This is a teen edition of our cup of tea, and we're calling it the Cup of Boba. So welcome to our September 16, 2025 event. I am your host. I'm Nikola Ristevski, Parent and Research. This event, like the Cup of Tea, is intended to bring the Canadian retinoblastoma community together for an informal discussion about a research article. Discussions center around articles which members of our Canadian Retinoblastoma Research Advisory Board, or CRAB, have created plain language summaries for, which are on our website, rbcanadaresearch.com. Past Cup of Tea recordings are available on our YouTube channel and Spotify channel under the name Retinoblastoma Research. Tonight, we will start with some announcements. We will do the article summary presentation, followed by the community discussion. So please save all your questions for later on when we open the Q&A. For our announcements, I wanted to let everyone know about our retinoblastoma research community. I see most people who are joining us for our live presentation either are already in the community and have partnered with us in other events and research opportunities. So I see people are aware. Now, what you can do is share this with others. If you are a researcher or a health professional, you could share it with the families that you know that would benefit from being part of this community. You could also share it with your colleagues who want to connect with other families and other researchers and health professionals who all have the same intention to work with retinoblastoma research and advance the care for retinoblastoma families. You can join by visiting our website at rbcanadaresearch.com, and it is on the top ribbon. You can also find more information on our social media, follow us on our social media, and that's where you'll also see information about upcoming events and other opportunities to participate in research. Our more announcements include opportunities to partner in research. I'm looking for partners for our next Cup of Tea event, which will be in January 2026. Our theme for that presentation is new treatments. Please email retinoblastoma.research@sickkids.ca if you're interested in being a partner. Or if you're not particularly for this next presentation, if you're interested in other future Cup of Tea or perhaps future Cup of Boba events, please send that email and I will connect with you and tell you what a presentation or being involved in this event entails and how we work together to put this event together. Also, join the Patient Advocate Committee, or PAC, of the Rare-Pediatric Eye Cancer, or RPEC Biobank. Currently, they're looking for youth partners needed for feedback session, and you'll hear a bit more about that later on in our presentation. Again, if you would like more information about these opportunities, please email retinoblastoma.research@sickkids.ca. Now we have a few very exciting upcoming events. As I mentioned already, the next Cup of Tea is in January. Please save the date for January 20th. The topic is new treatments. The event, as always, is at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And new information, save the date for our 2026 Retinoblastoma Research Symposium taking place April 18th and 19th, and more information for the symposium will follow. Also, keep an eye out in your email for the January Cup of Tea calendar invites to make sure you save that ahead of time and attend either the virtual event or then watch it on our YouTube or Spotify afterwards. So if there's anything that we shared right now through our updates and announcements that you are interested in or would like more information about, or would like information to share with others, please send us an email and we could connect and discuss that further. The email again is retinoblastoma.research@sickkids.ca. So for today's cup of tea, we will be discussing the article Governance and Public Trust, a case study of the Rare-Pediatric Eye Cancer Biobank. The plain language summary of the article is available on our website, rbcanadaresearch.com. On the top bar, you click on the article summaries and you scroll to the very bottom of the page. That's where the newest article summaries are. So our guest speakers today are Nikola Ristevski, who is a retinoblastoma patient and active member in the retinoblastoma community. He has been attending Canadian Retinoblastoma Research Advisory Board events for many years and currently enjoys playing sports, video games, and working on improving his time on solving the Rubik's Cube. He's also my son, and I'm very proud to share that this is his first speaking presentation for the Cup of Boba. Our scientist partner for this article is Helen Dimaras. She's a scientist at the Hospital for Sick Children who studies retinoblastoma. She's director of the Kids Eye Biobank and co-lead of the Canadian Retinoblastoma Research Advisory Board. When she's not working on retinoblastoma research, she enjoys running and exploring new bakeries in Toronto. So I'm going to pass it over to Nikola to start his article summary. Thank you very much.
Nikola Ristevski. I want to tell you a little bit about me. My RB journey. I have the genetic form of retinoblastoma. I don't remember much from them, but I do remember getting eye drops from the clinic. That was just a small part of my life. I'm also just a regular kid who loves playing video games, such as Roblox and playing on the Xbox, solving Rubik's Cubes and reading. I've always participated in sports and other activities, and RB has never stopped me from having fun. This is a picture of me at my most recent Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournament, where I won a gold medal. 1 RB World. I attended the Washington Conference as a kid, and really enjoyed playing in the children's room while my parents attended the meeting. I had a great time exploring all the cool monuments around Washington. This is a picture from the event we attended. My family and I are at the bottom of the group. I'm the little guy in the striped shirt, right here. RB, a research symposium. I have been attending symposiums yearly since 2018. The first ones I attended, I spent most of the time in the child life room, and I made new friends who had RB. Some of my new friends are younger than me and look up to me, which makes me want to be a good role model and show them that they can do anything when they have RB. In the 2020 symposium, I provided feedback and tested out the RB Journey Map and presented my journey using the map at a future meeting. I still keep my map and look at it. For the last symposium I attended, I went to Dr. Malapatna's workshop about 3D eye models. The middle picture and the top left picture are at the kids' room, and the bottom right picture is presenting. RB Society Family Picnic. I have been going to the RB Society Family Picnic almost every summer to play with other kids who have RB. The last one I went to, I had a chance to talk with Farheen about a research study, talk with Dr. Malapatna, and play baseball with his son. Genevieve and her family have always brought fun activities, and I always enjoy eating the treats. This is a group photo from the 2024 picnic. I'm in the far left in the Barcelona Football Club jersey standing beside my dad. Now I will share the article summary. This is the original article we used, but we made it easy for kids to understand. The title of our summary is Sharing and Caring: How Patients Help Build a Biobank for Rare Eye Cancers. This article we summarize here talks about a biobank, the Kids Eye Biobank, that enrolls children affected by all types of eye cancer. The article describes how the biobank works and how decisions are made and how they work with patients to get past the challenges of eye cancer being so rare. I was interested in this article because I like science and was interested in what happens to the stuff the research team collects and how it's used to help patients. This article helped me understand that biobanks help scientists to find the causes of cancer new and better ways to find the cancer earlier and treat it better. This will help kids in the future to improve their lives and eyesight. What is a biobank? When I hear the word biobank, a couple of thoughts come to my mind. The first thought is storage. I think of that because they store blood or tissue there. The second thought is science, because they help scientists conduct lots of research that could one day save many lives. A biobank is like a special library, but instead of storing books, it stores samples from people's body. How does a biobank work? Step 1. Patients decide to donate to the biobank to help scientists learn more about diseases and find better treatments. Step 2. The doctor collects samples, health information, and photographs like those the doctor takes of the eye. Step 3. The biobank collects and stores eye samples in special liquid nitrogen freezers, which keep things at a very low temperature, so the samples stay in good condition and are very safe. Step 4. Scientists use the samples to find better treatments. The biobank is run by caring grown-ups who make sure everything is done safely, and that patient families always understand what is happening with their donations. Why is biobanking important? Why are eye cancers hard to study? Eye cancer is rare, which means that there are few cases of it and it would be hard to find a lot of material to study. Eye cancer samples might be easier to collect in certain countries or certain environments. Biobanks help scientists find the causes of cancer, new and better ways to treat it better. This will help kids in the future to improve their lives and eyesight. Who makes the decisions in the biobank? Operations committee, internal. Think of this group like having grown-ups in the biobank whose job are like safety monitors. These people who work at the biobank. Their job is to make sure that everything is done safely and properly. They're the biobank's own team of rule checkers who make sure the biobank is doing a good job taking care of the samples and information. Step 2, external oversight committee. External oversight is like having other grown-ups who don't work at the biobank come and check on them. It's like how a school inspector might come to a school and check, even though they don't work for the school. Another way you can think of these first two committees is like this. You have your parents, internal, and then you have your grandparents and friends, external, all making sure you're being taken care of nicely. The biobank needs both types of helpers, internal and external, to make sure that it all runs smoothly and safely. Material and Data Access Committee, MDAC. Think of MDAC like a special group of grown-ups who act as gatekeepers for the biobank. Just like how your parents decide who can come into your house or not. MDAC decides who can use the samples and the information stored in your biobank. When a scientist wants to use a sample, like blood or tissue, or information stored in the biobank, they can't just take it. They have to ask the MDAC first. This is similar to how you have to ask permission if you want to borrow someone's toy. Patient Advocate Committee, PAC. The PAC is a special group of people whose job is to be the voice of the patients. It's very similar to having a group of caring grown-ups whose only job is to make sure that kids and families are always put first and are treated with respect and kindness. How does patient engagement work in the biobank? The Patient Advocate Committee, PAC, meets monthly over Zoom to set goals and plan activities between meetings. Members work together on tasks like giving presentations, creating visuals, and reviewing research requests to support the group's shared missions. This photo here is their monthly meeting, and then they're reviewing research requests, making visuals, and prepping some presentations. Background: patient engagement in biobank. Biobanks cannot exist without patients. But the most obvious role for patients is as a participant. Biobanks are starting to work with patients in their operations, but no guardians but no guidance exists for biobanks to follow to do a good job at. We can start to think about patients as partners of each of the stages of biobank: enrollment, collection, and storage, as well as use of those resources. But equally important is getting patient involvement from the beginning and continuing to work together. I think it is crucial for kids and families to be involved in research for numerous reasons. The first reason is that kids and even families would learn new things, not only doctors and scientists. For example, the patient could learn more about the research and could get interested in these topics to get even more involved. The second reason to be involved is that they would gain trust in the biobank. Trust is important because people have to be able to put their samples and information in the biobank without worrying about bad things happening to them. Also, if the biobank or even a medical professional needs a favor from them, the patient, they're most likely to get a yes instead of a no. My final thoughts. The most important part is that biobanks are very helpful for research. Without biobanks, we would lose so much knowledge. Biobanks help us understand so many things we did not understand before. And all research done through biobanks has advanced medicine and society so much. Now, with patients joining biobank teams, we can make even more breakthroughs in the years to come. Second, it is important to build trust with the research team, so families feel comfortable with enrolling in the biobank and becoming partners in research. Some things that would make me trust the research team are if they were happy, explained to me what they were doing, were interactive with patients, and were respectful and kind. All in all, those are the most important things I would want from a research team. And if they have those qualities, then it would be easy to trust them. I created this picture with AI to show how I would feel speaking with the researcher that I trusted. We are talking to each other, smiling and listening. Now I will pass it over to Helen to give you some more technical explanations about the biobank.
Hello, everyone. So I'd like to start by showing you some images and describing the Kids Eye Biobank so you have an idea of what it looks like. These photos here show what happens on a typical specimen collection day. The biobank team works with the clinicians in the operating room to obtain tumor from a surgery. And here in this vial with pink fluid, that's a special media that helps preserve the tumor's integrity and keep it fresh as it is from the beginning, so it doesn't deteriorate. Then this goes to the lab. That's the next photo where you see the technician holding the tube and a special pipette. The sample is processed. It's divided into different tubes. It's measured to understand how much tumor we have and how much of it is still alive. And then we store it in a smaller tube shown there in the third photo. And this is designed for long-term storage in very low temperatures. And so the freezers look like the fourth photo there, that big silver tank. Those are liquid nitrogen tanks where the specimens, like the one I showed you, the tumor example, are stored in very low temperatures for a long time. And the final photo shows how the biobank staff would pull out the samples. It's a large rack with multiple boxes, and each box holds about 100 of those small tubes. And they're pulled out when they're requested and approved by the biobank to be shared with other researchers. Here's an example of what might happen after a sample is shared with a research team. So these images are from Dr. Corson's lab. Dr. Corson's lab is helping the biobank generate cell lines and organoids. And so some of the tumor cells are grown into these type of models. Cell lines are two-dimensional models, and organoids are three-dimensional models. And they're basically adjusting the conditions in which the tumor cells grow so that they can renew themselves in a dish. And so this is what that dish looks like. That little closed off flask, a little bit of that pink media at the bottom. The cells are sort of swimming in that, and the vial is closed so it stays all clean. And so the nice thing about cell lines and organoids is that we never run out of the original tumor sample because we can grow it and renew it. The second image shows how we image or take photos of the cells to observe how healthy they are and how they're growing. And then these can be put into separate tubes again, multiple aliquots we call them, or different tubes of the same cell line or media, and they're frozen to be shared with scientists. We have a lot of cell lines from past research in retinoblastoma, and they've really helped us learn a lot about how retinoblastoma grows and what treatments might be effective. Organoids are a little bit newer, and we're attempting to make these 3D organoid structures, as I mentioned. The reason why organoids are preferable to cell lines is that they keep this three-dimensional structure like the tumor grows in the body. And so it's thought that these are more likely to represent how retinoblastoma grows in the human being, and therefore any treatments we develop using those might be better suited to bringing to clinic. Our biobank is unique in that it has a patient advocate committee, and shown here are our wonderful members. The purpose of the patient advocate committee is to facilitate inclusion of lived experience into the Kids Eye Biobank. And so shown here are Ivana, Nikola, Michelle, Mackenzie, Lynn, Serge, Tim, and they are really actively involved. They joined the PAC in September 2023 when it was launched. They meet monthly on a Zoom call just like this. And we discuss things like what I just shared with all of you. How does the biobank work? How many samples do we have? What kind of requests are we getting? And how can we make the patient advocate committee serve the needs of our patient community? And so what kinds of things have our patient partners helped in? They've helped in everything from designing and the policies that govern our biobank. So Michelle was really keen on developing some policies on how patient partners can be rewarded for their time and effort. And enrollment, Lynn really helped us design a tool where we are helping demystify the parts of informed consent through a visual language to help families understand the decisions they're making. We also had Tim and many others join the Material and Data Access Committee to govern the use of the specimens. So understanding what kinds of studies are requesting, what's in the biobank, how important are they to solving big questions, unanswered questions in retinoblastoma and other eye cancers, and especially useful when we don't have much material. And so this request might use up our last sample. It's really important to have the patient experience alongside the scientific experience to make the best decisions together. In terms of collection, so it was mentioned earlier by Nikola that we collect data, images, and specimens. Ivana helped us revise a survey that we ask all our participants to give us their, if they so wish, some demographic information that describes themselves. And Ivana was very instrumental in looking at that questionnaire and helping us revise it for language. And Mackenzie and Serge were really helpful in creating a pamphlet, an info guide that helps us explain what the biobank does. If anybody's interested, we can share that with you. It's just a simple to understand description of the biobank that helps families understand if they want to participate or not. Just a little bit more detail. So at this point, we'd like to invite Tim to describe his participation in committee leadership. And now I'd like to show you a video from Lynn. She is a graphic designer, and she really led the development of the tool I mentioned. It's called the Clear, Honest, Open, Informed Consent Experience, or CHOICE tool. Shown here is an image of how we went from jotting down our ideas and sort of brainstorming what this visual tool to accompany the informed consent process might look like, and we came up with this final tool in the bottom. So Lynn will introduce herself.
Hello everyone, I'm Lynn Tarabai, a 25-year-old from Lebanon. I'm the first retinoblastoma case in Lebanon. I lost my eye when I was 2 years old. I'm also the president of the Retinoblastoma Society in Lebanon and a member of the PAC. I'm happy to share my experience with you today. I was looking for community and moral support. When I found the pack, I was excited to educate myself more on biobanking and how it can provide information for studies on retinoblastoma. The pack leverages the skills of patient partners for our projects. I work as a graphic designer. I have used my graphic design skills to create the choice tool. The choice tool is a visual aid to assist in informed consent discussions. This project started when the PAC decided to review the biobank's consent forms. We thought there might be a way to visually show the ideas. So we brainstormed ideas for the tool and used Miro to map out the decision participants make during consent and how it related to the Kids Eye Biobank. I translated the designs to Canva and I also used Adobe to create different characters and the biobank. We discussed the choice tool during monthly PAC meetings, but I also had separate graphic design meetings and individually worked on this project. I hope that it can help enhance how consent is communicated to biobank participants.
Thank you, Lynn. Lynn is certainly a very valued part of our PAC. And next, we'll hear from Michelle. And Michelle is a longtime patient partner. She's also a clinical research project coordinator at SickKids with the Research Ethics Board. So we're really lucky to have her ethical mindset alongside her lived experience. She often helps us make decisions and utilizes her expertise in clinical research operations. She serves on the MDAC committee, and she provided feedback on a patient advocate compensation policy. So we'll hear from Michelle now.
Being a patient partner for the Biobank has allowed me to express my unique combination of both lived experience and research experience. For instance, as a part of my job in clinical research operations, I read through research protocols and consider other topics such as high-level study feasibility. So when the Biobank receives material and data access requests, I'm able to assess those applications from an operational perspective, but can also use my experience as a retinoblastoma survivor myself to assess how the use of those specimens and data could translate to tangible impact for families. I've also leveraged those skills in research operations to provide feedback on the Biobank's patient advocate compensation policy, which we were invited to review. The policy outlines compensation that patient advocates receive for our involvement in biobank-related projects and committees. And that's informed by existing guidelines like the SPORE Patient Engagement Framework, as well as groups like the Alberta SPORE Support Unit that outline compensation as a concept that's separate from reimbursement or other tokens of appreciation. And the policy also establishes a structure for us to revisit and review the contents, which is appreciated. And overall, these opportunities for engagement have all ensured my time and experience have been valued and recognized.
Thanks to Michelle. Next, we just wanted to mention that we are looking for youth partners to provide feedback on the Kids Eye Biobank, particularly that choice tool we talked about. So if any listeners on the call are between 10 and 18, we're inviting you to a one-time session to give your feedback on the choice tool. And that is here, shown a bit closer. Lynn gave an introduction to this. You can see on the left-hand side is our consent form. It's a requirement of all ethical processes to really fully inform families on all the parts of participating in research, but sometimes it can be a little bit overwhelming. And so we developed this decision aid to help really map out the key decisions that families are making. And sometimes the children themselves make these decisions because we don't have an age of consent in Ontario. And so if a child is deemed to have the capacity to make these decisions on their own, then what we'd like is that this aid is understandable fully by them as well. So now we'll open it up for questions. To the question about how patients can participate in the biobank, I think it's really important that you talk with your care team and understand what resources are already available to be donated to a biobank if they aren't already. The nice thing about the biobanking world is we are working in a way that we're trying to standardize procedures. So they don't necessarily have to come to the Kids Eye Biobank if there's an equivalent biobank where you're being seen and treated. I think what's important to understand, though, is that a lot of biobanks exist in hospitals without a focus on retinoblastoma. So that's an important question to ask. The Kids Eye Biobank definitely can work with your care team to transfer any resources you'd like into our biobank. Or depending on where your care team is located, we are working on making what's called a federated biobank model, where we twin or sort of link separate biobanks through shared procedures so that the resources can stay in the institution where they're collected, but we coordinate so that if there is a researcher who is doing a study that would benefit from resources held in both places, we can be confident that we have collected the resources in common ways that won't influence the research negatively later on. And so that's all in the works right now. Thank you.
Along that question, I've had other people ask, families who are not part of the hospitals that are contributing to the biobank right now, but are interested in having their samples go to the biobank. What would you say to those families? Could they still provide their samples somehow?
Yes, it is possible. Ultimately, I think what the scientific and patient community needs to understand is that the resources always belong to the patient. The science and health care team are custodians. We have to care for that information and the samples, but ultimately they are the patients. Sometimes we scientists and clinicians forget that. And so the way the biobank, the Kids Eye Biobank is set up is that anyone can read that consent form, consent into the biobank, and offer their resources into the biobank. What might have to happen as an additional step if the resources are not currently held at a center that's part of the network, there may have to be a contract put in place. Let's say you're in you've been cared for in a hospital where that's not SickKids and is not one of the network hospitals in the biobank already. That hospital, wherever your resources are kept, would make a contract with the Kids Eye Biobank at SickKids to transfer that material and data. And so there's some extra steps involved in that, but it's not impossible. I think Lynn has her hand up. Yeah.
Is it like, I think my tumors or whatever it is in the eye was taken up over 58 and a half years old, 58 and a half years ago. Would that tumor or the eye still be relevant for research? So, or it would just be not good, or they get rid of them? I'm not sure.
That's also an excellent question. So sometimes when tumors are taken out, they're preserved in the clinical pathology department. You're right that over time those might be discarded, but sometimes they're there. And in fact, technology's changed in a way that even those old specimens might be useful, especially for rare cancers. So one part of the Kids Eye Biobank, we call it the legacy arm. And some of you may have received phone calls from the team because you had surgery a long time ago and we found some fresh tumor thanks to Brenda's lab, or a cell line that might have been made out of your tumor, or maybe even a pathology block like those really old ones that are preserved in the pathology labs. And so we tried to contact everybody we had something for.
if you didn't get a call, it meant we either didn't have anything or we didn't have your number. So if you wanted to send a message to retinoblastoma.research@sickkids.ca, then we could, give us your information and we can call you, talk to you, and see if there's something left at SickKids that we could do something with. But the resources that we were able to obtain from Brenda's lab, particularly the cell lines, were really excellent for future research. We're trying to make new cell lines as well so that nothing gets too old and we can have it forever. So yeah.
Could I just add, though, 50 years of the slides from eyes with retinoblastoma taken out 50 years ago are still in Toronto, and they're actually in where the old eye, with all the other slides, ever since eye pathology started in Toronto. They're now at St. Michael's Hospital. And we have occasionally said, could we find a slide from some long time ago? And ultimately they find it and share it with us. But that isn't something that would have tissue in it that could go into the biobank. But the biobanks and fresh tissue didn't exist 50 years ago.
Yeah. We could use those slides in other types of experiments. If they still prove to be too old, what's really exciting is even just the pathology image, the scan of the slide could be like a resource that goes into the biobank. So one thing we didn't talk about is all the imaging. Nikola said it really nicely that, the pictures that the doctors take of the eyes can also be used in research. And the same thing for a picture of the eye that was taken out. Sometimes there's a special stain called H&E. It makes the tumor look all pink and purple. And these are now being used in research because we could have computers scan these slides and learn how to detect, features that might indicate high risk versus low risk. I'm trying to simplify it so I don't get too technical with the audience, sorry. But so there's always things to learn from even old samples. We can, if it's there, we'd like to find it and see how we can use it.
That's very interesting. I wonder, though, is there such a thing as a virtual pathology biobank where all those old slides might be scanned with great technology now? For having looked down the microscope and say you'd scan this slide, but not all 20 of them, but something like that. That would be quite amazing.
Yeah, we're trying to build something like that through our image biobank. There's lots of image data sets, whether they're biobanks and allow sharing with others, differs from group to group. So we're trying to build something that's ultimately shareable so that anyone with expertise can use it, but also always doing this with people like Nikola and Serge and Ivana and Michelle at our side. So we're doing it.
What's the most important thing for a biobank? Is it like technology or expertise? Or...
Maybe Nikola could get a summer job being a scanner of slides.
Always welcome, always welcome. So there is one question that maybe I can pose to the audience for their thoughts. And it's a question we were grappling with last week on our PAC meeting. And that's, what do we do when a drug company, a company that does science, but they do so not in a university setting, wants access to some of our samples? And it's actually one of the decisions that the patients get to make. Do we want our resources to be used by scientists at universities or universities and for-profit companies? And Frances did a study and she looked at the decisions people make, and not as many people agree to sharing with for-profit companies as with universities. And what's interesting is we had a request recently from a for-profit company that wanted a cell line to test one of their drugs, but the person who contributed the tumor for that cell line said no to for-profit companies. So we obviously can't share it, but it also makes us wonder, what are the reasons why maybe we wouldn't want to share our resources with drug companies? But also, would there ever be reasons to share? We talked both scenarios, because we want to respect the patient's choices, but also are really excited by maybe these companies having new drugs that we could test that would be good for retinoblastoma. We need to work with them as well. So I'm wondering about the thoughts of the group here. Mary?
So my first reaction when I saw that question, because the reactions and my second reaction are very different. So my first one was, well, that would be a great way to, if the drug companies themselves had to pay to get those samples, that would be a great way to have money to keep the biobank and all its resources stable. Then on the other hand, it was, research shouldn't really be totally controlled by companies that are for profit either. And so that my first idea is that research probably should be in the hands of those that, are not, let's say, a drug company. Although I know that they're, both things are giving us, resources and answers. So I think it's a very, very complicated kind of question, and one that you could debate for hours over what's right or wrong with it. So while I've got the mic here, I also want to just say that I really congratulate Nikola on such a wonderful presentation. You show remarkable maturity and intellect for your age, and I'm so amazed by your presentation style and knowledge, and you're just awe-inspiring. I'm really amazed at what you've been able to do tonight. So I just want to give you a really big clap for them.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mary.
Lynn, did you have something to add to the question about the drug companies using samples? Oh, sorry, Lynn, I see you have your hand up. Oh, maybe.
No, I did have my hand up. I thought it was Silvana who was talking. My question is, if it fell in the hands of a for-profit, would that put it at risk for AI? That would be my question, if there's a rider that could be put in. I'm not sure, just throwing it out, because AI can twist and turn things. And
yeah, there's a lot of I guess risk and reward, as Mary is putting, with handing resources out. AI, though, can be used both in academic centers and with for-profit companies. So the question becomes, how restrictive do we become with the samples in terms of what can or cannot be done? And do those restrictions ever impede us from getting the answers we want our research to give us? So it's tough. We do have clauses, like when we share samples with anyone, whether for-profit or academic, there's a contract that's put in place about how exactly the samples need to be used for the research that has been described. And all research has to go through an ethics review, and that is a determination of how much benefit or harm will be felt by the participant or the contributor of the resources. So, anything that would have a great degree of risk, it might not actually pass the review. So that's one protection in place for any research. And the fact that we have the contract with anyone accessing samples and information from Kids Eye Biobank, it stipulates that they can only use things for what we set out to do in the first place. So that's one way to protect things from getting twisted and turned, as you mentioned. we had another comment actually from Serge last week about this idea of maybe academia being more open access and drug companies being more secretive about the results. And so perhaps that's another part of the contract where we, just like any other person accessing our samples, we'd ask them to share the results with us. Yeah.
I wonder, we're almost out of time, but I think we could use more time on this topic, because I actually feel like I don't know what I would want to choose, because I think my answer would not be based on fact. I think it's kind of based on feeling and maybe things that I've seen on TV or movies, or maybe what I've heard other people say, so I don't really know what's true, or like, I don't really know how drug companies really operate, or who monitors them, or what they have to do or don't have to do. So maybe it's an idea that there's, I don't know, maybe we could do a cup of tea on that, or a plain language summary or something to maybe educate people a bit more about both sides of research and how they're different. That might help people understand what they're choosing when they're trying to decide what to do with their sample.
I think you're right. Knowing the face of these companies, understanding the research they do, and also trusting and working with the pact so that the participants in the biobank understand that we're looking out for them. Maybe those all work together to help with those decisions. Yeah.
Well, on that note, we're at the end of our time here. I wanted to thank our presenters. Nikola, you've had some really great feedback from our audience so far. You did a great job presenting our first teen presenter, and I welcome other teens and anyone who's interested in presenting at a cup of tea or being involved to reach out, and we will find a way that you could be involved. So please let us know if you're interested. Helen, thank you very much for sharing both Nikola shared the non-technical, but definitely sharing the more technical and explaining how things really look. I really appreciated seeing the pictures of how the biobank really looks in real life. So thank you very much, everyone. Keep an eye out on our social media for update on when the event will be recorded and ready for our YouTube and Spotify channels. And join us next time in December for our next cup of tea event.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Nikola. You're welcome in our lab anytime. And now I only want to work with children for any kind of retinoblastoma related thing. So my lab is going to get younger and younger.
I wish every presentation was as easy to understand as his was.
That's a good feedback. I think we have maybe a standard of how the next ones should go. That's good feedback.
Cup of boba all the way.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.